dreams collide. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. Good evening to you all. Hope you've all had a brilliant weekend. Oh, late night Spurs chat. Hey, what have we got to speak about today? Well, we haven't got transfers, that's for sure. Obviously, in the world of football, Crystal Palace have gone and won the Community Shield, so massive congrats to them. Not sure whether we're considering that as a trophy or not. Some fans debate about it, whether it is or it isn't. I'd certainly rather win it than lose it, but hey, let's see how we go in the Super Cup, because in many situations that's a little bit of a similar situation. God, what's going on with Spurs? What is going on with Spurs? The answer is not a lot. Well, there's bits and pieces. There's bits and pieces, but in terms of transfers, in terms of news coming out of the club, in regards to anything really, has gone quite quiet this week. But there has been some bits and pieces that have come out about players that we're potentially linked to, potential obviously stuff with other clubs, that sort of stuff. So I thought we'd just come on, just have a little bit of a late night chat, see where people's thoughts and feelings are around what Spurs are, what we're doing, what we need, that sort of stuff. And then also thought we'd have a little look at what other clubs have been doing, because we can get sometimes so caught up in Tottenham and worry so much about ourselves, and then when we try and use a benchmark, we will benchmark it against the very top. So for instance, a lot of people would say that Liverpool had probably one of the stronger transfer windows, and we'll continually compare against that. But is that a fair reflection? Is it just that there's a few clubs that have done it particularly well, whereas others haven't done much? So, for instance, Newcastle's, etc. So have a little look at that. And then the other part that I wanted to do is put potentially in the chat who we think will be starting in the Super Cup next week. We'll do a little formation, we'll put it all together, and then we'll try and work out from there what sort of a team we'll be putting out against the might that is PSG. There was a lot of hope, a lot of optimism around that game recently. And then now that's sort of changed. PSG obviously had a bit of a pasting by Chelsea, and they really struggled. We seem to have a little bit of hope and optimism in the fan base because of the potential signings, the Morgan Gibbs White deals, Kudus deal, all of that sort of stuff. And then obviously since then, the fan base is gradually dropping in its optimism, and we're now in a situation where playing against PSG as the first competitive game of the season is probably not exactly what everybody wanted. But as I said, we can definitely go into it and have a little look. This one, as I said, is just a little bit of a catch up, really, just to go through a few bits and pieces. For anyone that hasn't seen, doesn't follow us on X or anything like that, that thankfully, because of all of your support, because of the amount of subscribers that we've accumulated in such a short space of time, because of the amount of hours of content that's been watched, we have been able to bring memberships, super chats, and super stickers to the channel, which is a massive thank you to everybody. So that's a huge thing. This is the first show where we've had it, but yeah, so a massive thank you yet again. But essentially, I'm having a little bit of a break for a couple of days, 3-4 days, where my next time I'll be live on either this channel or other channels will be the next time we go live on Thursday. So I just thought I'd come on and just have a little look and say what my thoughts and feelings are this week. Let's have a little look. So that's quite interesting. We'll save that up. So yeah, as I said, obviously looking at we can actually save that one as well as it goes. We'll be pulling up X in a bit and pulling up a few different stories that we've got that I thought might be a little bit of interest, that might be quite good to kind of see. And then, as I said, we will also be looking at a few other bits and pieces, particularly the formation, and then we'll do the transfers. But you can see in the chat straight away, what's the point, FC? Big up, mate. Thank you for being here this evening. This is how we prepare for a European Super Cup final. Yeah, mate, as I said, it's a bit of a strange one. There are some reasons that are justifiable as to why things have taken as long as they've taken. For instance, let's just say Frank being brand new in the job, that he did need some time to have a little look at these players and see whether they fit into what he wants. But how long has it needed to happen? What's going on with Morgan Gibbs-White's situation? All of a sudden, we don't get him. How long's that been now? 4 or 5 weeks? Well, it feels like months, but we haven't got anything to show for it. So that whole situation, the whole waiting, the whole delay, if you like, or we've seen absolutely nothing since then. Now, again, there's, as I said, going on to reasons as to why Langer does seem to work in this way. It does seem that he's not someone who goes out there and just has rumour upon rumour or allows rumours to really get out. So is there a chance that we just kind of go bang, there's a player we're interested in, a few hours later he's through the door? Yes, it's a possibility, but Spurs fans are naturally just going to do, and they're going to revert basically to what we used to. And we're used to this. We're used to things being rushed, things being last minute, things not really seeming like there's a plan. So this fits with everything that we've heard previously. Everything we saw previously. We've physically got that evidence as backup as to why we're feeling the way that we're feeling. I think the strategy from Levy is to bring us so low that we lose interest in the club. Whether that's his intention, obviously, who knows? But it does feel like that. You kind of get to, like, at the start of the window, you're kind of sitting there and you're expecting certain things, and you're saying, this is the players that I want, these are the players that we should be targeting, and everything else. And then all of a sudden, time starts elapsing, then players maybe start moving to other clubs, and you then sit in a situation where the quality that you require starts getting less and less and less and less, until eventually you kind of just sit there and go, I'll take anyone that we can bring in that's a new face, please. Which maybe it's his strategy, and if it is, then he does pretty well, you must admit, because the players that we want at the start of the window and the players that we want at the end of the window, the decrease in their quality is huge because we're starved, I guess. Playing devil's advocate, there is a part of us where if we go and sign players this week, then next week we want more, and then if we go and sign them next week, we want more, and everything else. So there is a bit of devil's advocate there, but it does sometimes feel like that. No elite chairman acts like this in the transfer market with the Europeans. No, and I've said this on multiple streams previously, that what's really frustrating for me is that we had a sliding doors moment when the Champions League was around. When we got to that Champions League final, it was unbelievable for us fans. Of course, it was stuff that we couldn't even dream of at the time. But it probably was so far ahead of what we should have been at that time that it gave us a bit of a false narrative in terms of what we should actually be doing. Should we be competing at this level? And fans started to dream a little bit. Which, listen, this is what we want to do. We want to dream, but was it almost a negative in a way? I think it possibly was, but it was a sliding doors moment. That is the be all and end all. It was a sliding doors moment. The previous year, Liverpool had that moment. They lost. They then went out and they dropped 140 million, I think, on Van Dijk and Alisson. They went out and they went, these are the areas that we drastically need to improve, and we need to improve them now to take that next step. And as everybody knows, and I obviously don't need to bore everyone, but that didn't happen with Spurs. We got to that moment. We didn't reinvest. We didn't go big. And again, there could be reasons behind it, the stadium, etc. But we didn't. We failed to react to that sliding doors moment, and we came out of it in a negative. And then the Europa League final comes along, and again, after a terrible league situation, injuries, there's so many things that didn't work last year. First team signings, the first 11 signings, sorry, one of them coming through the door, Solanke, and that's it. Very, very strange. So we then win the Europa League, and for me, it was like, right, there's another sliding doors moment here, and we need to react differently to the way we previously reacted, which was obviously really negative. And at this moment in time, I'm not so sure whether we've learned anything from that. I think that's really fair to say. I don't think that's being harsh at all. We've not been in the exact situation, but we've been in a similar situation before, and we didn't react in the right way. And now we're doing what seems to be exactly the same thing. Now let's hope we have got a few weeks left before the end of the transfer window, and hopefully it's lining up all of the ducks in a row, and then we go big. But I am interested to know how many players, and you don't have to name you if you've got players, great, brilliant, that's fantastic. But if you just in just terms of positions, how many do you think that we realistically need to? I think Europe, getting into Europe in some form next year will be quite an achievement, bearing in mind the squad we've currently got right now, but what we may do. So how many players do you think that we let's do it this way. How many players do you think we need, and then how many players do you think we'll get if we was to become a top, let's say top 8? And I know that top 8 doesn't sound crazy, but let's be fair, we were 17th. So how many players do we need, and how many players will we get is the question that I'm asking you guys. Palace will finish above us this season with the way things are going there. Can't for that's enough of it. Yeah, that's a massive part. I mean, that's kind of been the topic that most fans have been talking about, especially on YouTube this week. It's been, how are we replacing that GA? Let's go. If we go through the names, we've not got to sit there and say Son was the best he's ever been, and it just purely down to a numbers aspect. It's 70 odd, isn't it? I think everyone keeps saying it's like 70 odd GA that we need to replace, and Kudus is the signing that's come in and nobody else. So where is that coming from? It's a completely fair point. Will Palace finish above us? I think the manager there is brilliant, to be fair. I wanted him at Spurs. I think he's a very good manager. I think he's got some average but good players playing really well. Watched quite a lot of the final today. Ismail Assar just doing things I didn't see from him. It was a bit of a wonder kid-ish, like, wasn't he, when he first came in? Kind of dipped a little bit, but seems to be getting the best out of him. Munir's up on that right wing back. What a run he's on. I mean, in terms of his form, he's been absolutely top drawer. But they've got a few good players. I have seen some overreaction on X today that it's I think someone said that 7 of Crystal Palace's 11 start for Spurs, which I think is a little bit over the top. But I kind of get the full process behind it. Big up, Daniel. How are we doing? What does Langer do? This is the question. I've been saying it for a while now. Langer for me is a young player coach. A young player scout. He is a youth scout. That's what he does. He's into mainly the Scandinavian sort of area, but that is what he does. He should be a youth scout, a young player first team scout for me, and he should head up that department. So we're talking under 18s, under 21s, and then 18, 19-year-olds that potentially come into the first team. That's what he should be controlling for me, because I don't think he's got that factor to go and get these top players. Like, I think it's been mentioned by someone further down, but like an Eze type. Is Langer the character to be able to go and sell you, this is the project, this is what we need, this is what you need to come to? Like, people forget, if we even go back to the Tell deal, whether you like him or you don't, that's a completely different conversation. But Tell had Langer in the room having chats, and he was like, I'm absolutely fine here, I'm okay, I'm staying at Bayern. And then all of a sudden Ange gets on the phone and it all changes around, and he's the one that convinces him that this director of football, that's supposed to be the guy that sells it. And what does Langer do? No one knows. People say he works in silence, other people said he's asleep. We don't know, and that's the problem. What are we doing? Yeah, that is it. Nicola, big up. Good evening to everyone. Everyone that's coming in. As I say, a bit of a chilled one, bit of a late night chat going on. Just trying to get my thoughts and feelings off my chest just about Spurs. What are we doing exactly? That is what I'm asking. Now on ahead, he wants us in desperate mode so that we'll try to sign him before the transfer window. And yeah, this is it, isn't it? Like, as I said, the start of the window, the players that everyone was talking about, Embuemo, Eze, like, these are the players that we want. And now we're looking at levels below that. Do you know what I mean? Levels below that, and the fans, I think, are probably going to accept it. Daniel, would you? Yes, massive fan. Recently started to kind of clock onto him a little bit more. I'm always a little bit. I always worry about players coming over from other leagues, but he looks like an absolute player. As I say, last few weeks I've really started to take a little bit more notice. Being on YouTube, you have to kind of be aware a little bit more. So I'm definitely going to start doing what I used to do in watching loads more leagues and things like that. But the bits that I have seen of him, he looks like a real top player. And again, doing it in a decent league, not doing it in the second division, like Championship, or doing it in a league that's a million miles off it. Like, doing it in a decent league, I think is quite pivotal. I think he's 23, if I remember rightly. But yeah, it is a tough one, because with regards to going away from the Premier League, right? And let me know if you agree with this, but in the Premier League, it's very, very difficult. It's a difficult league. Everybody knows it. There's certain players that have come here that are absolute top players and haven't made it. So you want to go down the whole, like, we know he can do it in the Premier League. The problem is the Premier League is so expensive. Like, if you look at all of the players that are signed within the Premier League to go into another Premier League team, their price is just so high. Whereas the quality of the player is probably the same as elsewhere. But then you've got that, oh, can he do it in the Premier League? It's like, what do you do? If you can't take too many gambles, but then you can't do too many Premier League deals, because if you do, then you spend all of your money on a lot less players. So it is definitely a difficult one. But yeah, top player. But have you seen much of him? What makes you bring up his name in particular, Daniel? And we'll never be able to compete if we don't go and drop anyone from players in positions we need now and then. I completely agree in a certain aspect here, but in another aspect, I don't think we're good enough to go and drop 70 and 80 million pound on players. I think that we could spend 40 and 50 million pound and improve this team. So When you're spending the 70s and 80s, you're then at a good level, and you're bringing in 70 million, 80 million pound players. But right now, Spurs are in a situation where for 50 million pound we can improve. Kudus is a prime example. If we go and sign 2 or 3 Kuduses for 150, that for me works. Next year and maybe the year after, that's when you maybe need to go and do your 70s and 80s, because you've now taken that level up. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking about. If you take that level up, and that's why potentially the Paulinho deal works so well for Spurs, because it almost pushes funds elsewhere, right? You've got in a player that's going to probably improve your 11, which is brilliant, but then you've not spent the funds to then not improve them elsewhere. And I think that's the big key part. So you think we'll get 1, but realistically we need 5. 4. We need minimum 4. Everyone seems to be very, very similar. So we'll either get 1 or 2, but we need 4. So we're not going to do what we need, which is, I'd love to say I disagree with you. Just left the crumbs now. The master table, never my scrap. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? And this is the problem when you do your shopping at the end, is you might come across a couple of bargains, 100%, because the striker market, for instance, you look at the striker market, and we're not going to go and get Isak. I'm not pretending we are, right? But you look at the striker market, and everybody's gone out, and you can imagine that Liverpool's Ekatike signing was their signing. That's who they wanted, and then they've gone and got their striker. United have gone and got their striker. It looks like Juventus are getting Moani, and it looks like all of the striker situations are all being sorted out. And then all of a sudden, Isak becomes available, and you go, "Oh, like what an opportunity this is!" At the start of the window, it probably weren't even likely, but now that's not always the situation. It's not like a top player always becomes available at the end of the window. It's normally at the start that they become available, and then the quality. The best player goes to another club, then the next best player is available, then the next best player is available. So the Isaac situation is completely different. But this is what happens most of the time. It's very rarely that you go and you pick up a top quality player right at the end if he's been available the whole time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So big up, Nige. How are we doing, my friend? How's it going? What are we up to on this relatively nice Sunday night? Need for including Eze. I mean, if you can go in and get Eze, mate, then it's got to be done, isn't it? We are going to go into it in a little bit. I've got some bookmarks on the old X, like we all like to do. And we'll have a little look on there, because there has been some conversations about potentially whether Eze is going to be the Arsenal signing now that they've just won the Charity Shield, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, we know the 60 million's there from Morgan Gibbs White, so why are we not doing that? Any truth in Elliot having talked to Frank, maybe showing Frank here and a dickhead? Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Nige, because there's a lot of players that kind of fall in that category, and I think if we bring them in, I think that shows that actually they're probably not, because I don't think Frank's going to have it. I really, really don't. I think Frank's going to make sure, and especially look, when you're talking about, again, we'll go into the Premier League stuff. When you're signing players in the Premier League, you're gonna know what you're getting. What you should do, if you do it properly, you should absolutely know who you're getting and what's going on with that person. So, is he a dickhead? Is it like Grealish, for instance? Everybody, and I've done it as well. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not included in this, but Grealish is available, and everyone goes, he's only interested in alcohol. Is he? Or does he just enjoy going out and having a drink every now and then when it's off season, when he's won a treble, for instance? Like, you can really find that out. Whereas if you're trying to do it in France or whatever, the information you get might not be as reliable. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I've always said I like Grealish. I like him. I think if we're bringing him in, when the deal was first spoken about, it was your 30, 40, 50 million pound, 300 grand a week. I was like, hell no, stay away from that, because we could put that elsewhere. Then it was like, oh, it's a loan. Then that's different. Elliot, I think, is a top player. I really like Elliot. I think he'll be a very good player, but as you said, does he fall into that category? I'm not so sure, mate. Elkanous by all accounts had a great game for Leicester today, 2 assists. This is similar to what we were saying earlier. We was literally saying this earlier, that at the start of the window, we're sitting there going Eze and Buemo, and now we're saying Elkanous. Is it just beaten out of us to just like gradually keep decreasing the expectations, and just the players just get worse and worse, and then eventually Elkanous is going to be massively accelerated? And for what it's worth, I like Elkanous. I do like him. I think he's a good player, but we have so many young players about in this squad. Do we need another? One purchase, one loan has taken a level up. Matters injury taking it down. Too difficult for us players. Well, yes, big up Alan. How are we doing, sir? I didn't big up Stephen, so apologies for that. Yes, I completely agree. I think the level of players that we have. I don't know whether any of you have seen it, but I've recently released a series, a little mini series where I basically reach out to different YouTubers who are all Spurs, and we ask them the same 10 questions about a variety of different stuff. And one of the questions is, what are your thoughts around the transfer market and what we've done right now? And I think a lot of people feel very, very similar, that in terms of the business that we have done, so your Kudus and Palinia, the prices paid, etc., is actually pretty good. It's pretty good. If people were offered that at the start of the window, people would be like, absolutely, I'm on board with it. But there needs to be more. There needs to be more than just that. So, and then with the Champions League, to be honest with you, I think every fan's quite realistic. We wasn't expecting us to pull up trees in the Champions League. I think it was always going to be a case of like, just see how you kind of get on, really, to be honest. 10th to 7th, I think, is roughly about what people are saying. Obviously, a lot depends on what the transfers come in. And the cups, I mean, the cups are, again, the questions that I ask in the little mini series. But the facts are, is you pull City in the first game, Liverpool in the first game, and all of a sudden you're out of both of them. So, yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I actually think that the Carabao Cup might be a little bit of a young players. Obviously, if we don't keep shipping every single one of them out, I think it might be a little bit of a young players sort of cup, because it's obviously you want to win trophies every year, you do. But if you want to try and fight in any other of the competitions, I think it's going to be pretty difficult. Performances in Champions League, my phrase, he just needs to get stronger. Yeah, he's, as I say, it's definitely one where, do you know what it is? I think it's just because the way Spurs operate. Like, I remember looking at Ndombele in the Champions League and just being like, there's no way we get this guy. There's no way we can bring in an Ndombele. Like, he's top, and we ain't. And then he comes, and I was like literally over the moon by Ndombele. I thought, yes, this is the guy I like. And then look at him. So I think I look at players and I think he's a top player. He'll be a top player. I'd love to see him at Spurs. And then I just think we'll mess it up some way or another. Like, we'll go out and get a top player, and somehow or another it'll be absolute poop. So big up, Eugene. How are we doing, sir? How are we doing? It's followed up with a Grealish out. Of course it is. Of bloody course it is. Catch, what's happening, brother? Hope you're doing well. Everyone bigging each other up. Love to see it. The winter rejected us. Where's Frank's Paul? Oh, come on. It's harsh. It is harsh. But let's go into it. Let's have a look, because this is one of the points that I've pulled up on X. Let's see where it is. I'm sure I saved it. Maybe I didn't. But it was supposed to be one of the talking points. Was it Romano? Romano tweeted it, didn't he? Where is he? This is another one that's been linked. Ferran Torres. Where is No, it wasn't Romano. Someone definitely mentioned about him turning down Spurs, the winter turning down Spurs. It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, AC Milan, he stays in the same country. Is that a big deal for him? I don't know. And also, do you not feel like I've just realised that Lanzhou is it's trending? Brilliant. Absolutely love to see it. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because don't you think this is quite a difficult sell in terms of Spurs to him? Like, let's be honest here. And Eugene, you've literally just hit the nail on the head, which is what I was going to say. The real question is, why are we looking at centre back? So we're not here urgent needs elsewhere. Isn't this the problem? Like, we're turning around and trying to target him. We obviously don't know what the winner's been told in these conversations. If AC Milan have said, come and be our star man, come and be our backup, we obviously don't know. But how hard is it going to be as a sell to him to say, oh, why don't you come to Spurs? All pre-season we've played 4 at the back, so we've got 2 centre halves. You've got the World Cup winner in Romero. You've got Van der Ven, who's huge amongst the Spurs fan base, absolutely adored. You've got Danso, who we brought in 6 months ago, only just made the permanent deal a month ago. You've got Dragusin, who we dropped a 20 odd million on a couple of months, like a year ago before that. You've got Vuskovic coming through, and it's like, well, hang on. Like, I know you're probably joking about the Franks Paul, but how difficult is that as a sell? Like, and you're right. I'm sitting there going, how much playing time are we saying to this guy? Yeah, you'll get. Like, it's just really, really strange. Obviously, Takai's been brought in as well, so yeah, it's a weird one why we're sitting there targeting him. But well, let's not try and make some sense out of what Spurs do, because let's be clear on this, we know Spurs are just all over the place. Owners are working on Ferran Torres, so there's been some rumours of Ferran Torres this week to Spurs as well. I'm not so sure. I don't see him coming out. I can imagine what sort of money he's on. I bet he's on an absolute fortune, because that's what Barca seem to do. They seem to love dropping fortunes on decent players, decent level for Spurs for sure. But why isn't Matona being looked at? See, this is the thing. I said it earlier. Maybe, just maybe, we're being a bit harsh on Lang, because this is the way that he operates. Obviously, we had Paratici in for a while, who basically just puts news out there everywhere to try and make someone nervous that Spurs are going to go elsewhere, whatever. He's got reasons behind it. But Langer doesn't work like that. Like, I know people are not going to like it, but you've got, look at Morgan Gibbs-White deal. I'm fairly positive it was about 2 o'clock when it was announced Spurs are really interested, and then all of a sudden it went bang. I think it was 6 hours later we got the famous here we go. Kudus, there was loads of rumours in like YouTube and on X that old Spurs are interested, but everyone was kind of like, West Ham are not going to sell, etc. They want 85 million, and then all of a sudden, bang, the deal was done. Palhinha, loads of fans have wanted him, loads of fans have mentioned him, but actually, in terms of real links, it was like, bang, it's done. So I'm hoping that that's the case. Like, as I say, with Paratici, it's almost like we're bound to have been linked to someone that we will sign. Whereas with him, it might not be the case, and it will act really, really quick. But there's been a lot of conversations about Matoma, and I don't know enough to say, but some people were saying that £80 million bid was accepted from Saudi in January, I think, but he turned it down. Brighton accepted it, but he turned it down. Now, I don't know if that's true. So we know that 80 million is a number that gets you Matoma. And this is one of the problems, is we don't know what the whole budget is, do we? Yeah. So if someone said to you, Colin, would you pay £80 million for Matoma? Your answer might be, yeah, I'll pay £80 million for Matoma. That's not my money. I don't really care. But if someone said, right, you spent 80 million on Matoma, but now you've got no money to go elsewhere, you might go, oh, hang on, I'm not so sure now. So it's always hard to kind of work it out. And I'm not saying you should only have 80 million. That's obviously not the point. But that is where you kind of, would Matoma be a player that starts for Spurs? Oh, 100% he would be. But is it like Walton is a good example? A lot of people have been saying just go and drop your 100 million on Walton. When you drop 100 million on Walton, then you might not get a backup left back. You might not go and get Eze. You might not be able to sign that backup striker in Whistler that you wanted. So it's always about what you've kind of got to play with, I suppose, in terms of how much, if you spent on one, is that going to impact you going to get the other sort of thing. I'd love to tell him exactly what we need. Yeah, it would be a great signing. Bit of pace. You love a little bit of pace. A man that can just be his man. And also, like I've been saying this again quite recently, but see the whole Kudus signing. If we, how's best to put this? If we go in to the season and don't spend any more money in attacking areas, the Kudus signing is going to be made to look worse. Because if you're a player now, you're a manager now, and you're coming up against Spurs, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to look at this. So this is Himothy on X has put up his team that he thinks will start, and I was actually gonna play that game with the chat. We was gonna decide what we think is gonna start, but let's just use this as a quick example, and then we'll do our own one in a bit, right? But if you're looking at this right now, you're the PSG boss, you're whoever, you're the manager of the opposition, and you're sitting there going, right, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop this team? I'm marking Kudus. That's what I'm doing. I'm marking him, and I'm doubling up on him, and I'm going to just stop him playing. And therefore, if you stop him playing, a lot of the positive stuff that Spurs have done in pre-season, etc., it's going to be eradicated. So if you then bring in other players to support him, you then increase his impact on the team, because then all of a sudden, let's go get rid of Oliver, don't start, he's on the bench, we go and get Matoma. Then all of a sudden, you don't go, oh, just stop Kudus and it's fine. You go, oh, hang on a minute, you've got him over there, now you've got him there. Maybe our wingers need to defend a bit more. Maybe we need to pull them in because of that. And then all of a sudden, if they're being pulled in, they're less of a threat. And this is the problem. You've got so many different little bits and pieces that you can make a little change here and it impacts the whole team, isn't it? So, but I think if we don't go and sign any more attacking players, and if we don't, it's a travesty. I think the impact of Kudus is going to drop. And that doesn't make any sense as a club. You don't want your impact of your signings to decrease. He needs to be followed up with others. Is my expectation. As I said, we'll come back to the old teams shortly. Let's quickly catch up with the chat, and then we'll go to the conversations. Every direct football is tied under Levy, same goes for every manager that's been here in the past. It's looking that way. It is 100% looking that way, isn't it? We can speculate across all these different managers, whether they're good at this, whether they're bad at this, whether they got the managers they've got the players that they wanted, that sort of stuff. But the facts is that if everything's failing, then you've got to start looking elsewhere at the reason why. Lookman, Fofana are their options on there. That's going this on vacation. But Fofana again is one that's mentioned in a minute. We will discuss him. Seems to be a new one. Lookman looks like he wants Inter. But yeah, again, them two coming in become another option on that left-hand side, but a good option, and then frees up other players to come and make a little bit of an impact on the game instead of just kind of going, we'll leave that, we'll go and mark him, and that'll be it. I thought they'd turned it down. But someone said that they'd accepted it and he turned it down. Now, again, I don't remember the exact ins and outs of it, but yeah, I'm not sure. Issue spending 4 million on Tell. Listen, I wasn't an advocate for Tell. I think Tell is going to be one of them where, with a few improvements, he kind of becomes a player here and jumps levels up very quickly. And I'm saying Tell as an option as your number 2 coming off the bench is impactful, but he can't be your starter. If he's the guy you've paid to start on your wing, then you're in trouble. Yeah, another good player. I like him. I like him a lot. But would he be prepared to come to Spurs? For me, is he not playing more on the left hand side? I think he does. So therefore, Kudus would have to come inside, and I think the right wing is probably where we don't make any improvements. But then saying that, we could be playing so many different formations and everything else that probably. But yeah, I mean, if you bring in him, you're bringing in a player that improves the team, definitely. Team to double up on Kudus and nobody else can take on players, and that's it, Eugene. That is exactly it, mate. And you need, not only do you need different players on the pitch in terms of what they're able to offer, but you also need to amalgamate it to how that becomes a sort of tactic. So, for instance, someone said to me recently, "Well, how do you beat a low block? Or what's sort of needed to be able to be creative?" So, your Kudus type is, well, give me the ball and I can beat 3 or 4 players and make things happen like that. And all of a sudden, he goes past one and then space opens up. You've got Maddison, who is able to create in terms of the little like reverse balls, that sort of stuff, be a bit more creative with just the passing, but also he's able to win a lot of free kicks, and then that brings its own opportunities, especially in a sort of frank system. So there's so many different things that a player could bring that could offer in an attacking situation. Do we have enough of it? I'm not so sure. A lot of our players seem to be very, very similar. Replaced with Richarlison, with Mateta. I just can't see Palace selling this many players. Like, there's so many of their players that have been linked to go, so I just can't see them selling that many. So the reason I pulled this one up was the fact that Everton are willing to pay a player 250k a week. Meanwhile, Tottenham won't. Say everything about Daniel Levy and O'Keefe, who is quite against Levy on occasions and doesn't necessarily back him, has said they aren't. So you're saying there's a chance risk could be fully. They aren't offering 200k. If there's any chance that he will pay some wages, we'll get him on the books. They'll try to get as much covered as possible. Are we in from there? I think the numbers don't work, and they've looked at it, but they have looked at it. So again, so everybody's saying, which is exactly what I said, is that Everton and West Ham are not going to be offering up 300 grand a week. They're not going to do that. So if they're not going to do it, why can't we go in at the 250 mark? And apparently they're not even offering 250. So I think if you can get him on a loan deal, it makes sense. Eugene, I'm sorry. I know you're not a fan. I get it. But on a loan, again, talking about money, freeing that up. If you go and get the team that we just pulled up, if you go and get your Eze and you go get Grealish on loan, that's 70 million that you've spent, and you've got two attacking positions that have been replaced. And if you've got Solanke up front with Grealish, Eze, and Kudus behind, that for me is an attacking unit that can work. It was mentioned earlier about Fofana. I'm not pretending that all of these people are the best sources in the world or anything like that. Of course, I'm not. But there is Arsenal in battle with Liverpool. Arsenal have made a trip to France on Friday night to have a chat with Lyon about Fofana, essentially. It's clear Fofana is a hot commodity right now. Both clubs are keen to get him on board. So looks like Fofana could be one on the move. Again, Spurs bring him in, definitely increases the level at Spurs 100%. But will Spurs do it? We seem to be targeting a lot more Premier League players, but we shall see. Another midfielder, Andy Drift from Rennes. Again, looking down that League One route, we got burnt going League One with Ndombele. So I have a feeling they're trying to avoid that one at all costs. But as I said, let's see how we get on. I think the left wing is definitely where we need to start looking. Mason Melia, 17 years old, man of the match, 2 goals, 92% pass accuracy, 100% successful take-ons, 100% long balls, 100% tackles won, 6 to 9 ground duels won. Like, that's impressive numbers. I know the league's obviously not all there, but that's impressive numbers for a 17-year-old. I also think he scored in the last game as well, if I'm right. I think he scored in his last game. So yeah, he's looking like a decent little prospect. Although saying that, Spurs have had quite a few decent little prospects recently, and have they come to fruition? Most of the time, the answer is no. But yeah, let's see how that one goes. But I definitely think that he could be a tidy little player for Spurs going into the future. This was Nige mentioned this one earlier. This man seems to be throwing out a hell of a lot of links recently. A lot about Spurs as well. Tottenham are ready to meet Liverpool's demands to sign Harvey Elliott. Spurs want to boost their attacking creativity and offer the 22-year-old regular game time that he's looking for. So this is one of the ones that that I've been talking about all summer. Probably not all summer, but for quite a few weeks now. And there's been quite a few things that Harvey Elliott's done in the past that mean for me he's in that dickhead character. He's in the dickhead category of what Frank does not want to have. And it's not just of the Harry Kane situation. There's been some other stuff as well that's happened, and we're not going to talk about it here, but you can go and Google it and see that there's been a few instances of things that this kid's done. I'm pretty sure he was even swearing at someone in the final when they won. Like the Euros would just won it, and he was sitting there like, I think he threw his middle finger up at the opposition or something like that. And it's just like, really, like you've won the game. The game's done. You're the cup winner now. Like that's enough. Nothing more needs to be said on the matter. Again, I think he's a good player. Absolutely think he's a good player. However, if we're going after that type in terms of the playing style, for me personally, I'd prefer McAtee at Man City. For me, McAtee, if you're a player that's played under Pep Guardiola and Pep Guardiola's played you in games, then this is one of the best managers, one of the best footballing minds that the world has ever seen in terms of, obviously, tactical is superb, the way he thinks of the game. So if he's taken a shine into you in any way, then for me that counts quite a lot as a player. Obviously, he played Cole Palmer. He obviously has brought through Phil Foden, who's obviously gone off the rails a little bit recently. But there's so many different players that have been under his management that have excelled and done so well. So that counts a hell of a lot for me. And I also think he'll be cheaper. I think he's got less of an attitude. I think is he the same age? I think they're the same age. So I would definitely look to McAtee if we're looking at Harvey Elliott. But again, if Harvey Elliott comes in, he's definitely a player that improves. Luca Baldi from Sevilla. Is that deal just not been signed up for someone else? I'm sure I've seen some rumours that Baldi deal was being 25 million euros, I think it was. There we go. By Leverkusen advancing talks with Laura, and he's a top target. Discussions for a fee over 25 million proceed well. So it looks like he's already a done deal, really. Where was it? Or was it just that? Was it just that one? That Zabani's landed in Paris. Yeah, I'm sure I see it. No, maybe not. But yeah, again, we were saying about this earlier. Like, what sort of how difficult is that sell for Baldi to come in and say, right, okay, you've got all of this competition. These centre backs we've just signed. I'm not saying he's not better than them, but then what does it say for other players in that position? It's just a bit of a weird one while we're looking to target so many defenders. But again, I think he's a decent player. I don't think Spurs need to. I don't think Spurs need to go there. Have faith, gentlemen. We're Spurs. Big up, Paul. This is it, isn't it? For some reason, it's just like this is what Spurs do to you. This is what Spurs do to you. Like if we got a sign in tomorrow, right? We'll wake up tomorrow and overnight there's been a real quick like buy and then good links to someone else. Then you'll just be like, all of a sudden, I feel like we're going to do something. Like, look at PSG were a prime example, right? PSG were unplayable in that Champions League on so many different games. It wasn't just the final, right? They were literally unplayable. And some way or another, us Spurs fans truly believe that we're going to pull it off. That we're literally going to be able to pull off a miracle and beat them. It's just like, it's nuts, but that's being Spurs. That's being Spurs, isn't it? Big up, Cookie, mate. How are we doing? How are you doing on this beautiful, was it nearly coming up to 11 o'clock p.m. in England? Are you still on holiday? Are you still sipping the cocktails, or are you home now? Thank players just flying for the show. Mate, players are going left, right, and centre, and this is the problem. This is exactly what we was discussing earlier. You sit around waiting, you sit around and decide that you're not going to go in and you're just going to evaluate, monitor in FC, then what is that going to do for us? The answer is nothing, because all of these players are going to keep getting sold. They're going to keep going to other teams, and then we're going to be looking at scraps at the end. Everybody's tired, mate. Everybody's tired. It's late at night. Spurs still ain't made a signing. We're all tired, but we're all in it together, my man. We're all in it together. Where was we at? El Canoe spoke about him earlier. So doesn't say you got. Oh, it does. Yeah, look, so target registered 2 assists today for Leicester. Minutes played 90, 3 big chances created, 3 dribbles completed, 4 ball recoveries, and 3 interceptions. So really good stats for obviously the Championship. I see a real interesting one today as well about Winks potentially going to, was it Sevilla or Villarreal? I'm sure it was. That'd be interesting. I said earlier, Sebastian Vidal. So here he's got Arsenal, Crystal Palace for reaching an agreement on a transfer of Eberechi Eze. Again, just waiting for the cup final basically to get out of the way, but then he's followed it up. I found Tottenham have also identified as his priority, aware of the competition. Arsenal representatives will attend Community Shield to maintain contact with the camp and avoid any setbacks. Arsenal want to move very quickly on the deal, so let's see whether or not that's something that can go ahead. Everybody seems to want Eze. What else was there? Here's the James McAtee mentioned again just now, emerging as a potential target for Tottenham following the injury of James Maddison. Nottingham Forest and Frankfurt were told they'd have to pay close to 40 million. So it looks like the McAtee deal and the Harvey Elliott deal are very similar. It looks like they're in age. Let's have a look at how old he is. How old is he? Doesn't say. Here we go. 22. He's 22, and so is Harvey Elliott. So literally, it's a very similar diminutive player who is left-footed, can play probably on the right, play in the middle, around the £40 million mark. Very similar. You would say that Barnes, I always say Barnes, you'd say Harvey Elliott's got more experience and obviously played at Liverpool, played quite a lot of first-team games. But for some, I just feel like McAtee would be a better player. I don't know whether anybody's seen it as well. Harry Kane actually had an interview with Tottenham after the final, after we played Bayern. And there's a few quotes that have come out, but it was quite interesting. There's some obviously said about Palinia. He's tough, he tackles hard, he's good on the ball, he knows the Premier League well with his time at Fulham, and he's a guy that will give everything. I know he's going to be in a good place now if he gets some game time and show what he can do. And then he also said a couple of things about Tell as well. Here it is. He's got great potential, whether he's playing as a left winger or a striker. He gets into dangerous areas, he can finish the ball well, and he's good 1v1. I don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's going to be in the Premier League. He's still extremely young, although he has a lot of experience. He still has to develop and improve. He knows that, and he works hard to do that. So I want him to go and enjoy himself, have confidence, and hopefully he can shine in the Premier League. So that's a lot of Spurs fans will read that and say that's not the player that we've seen. But again, I just feel like Tell, if played right, could end up having an impact this year. Tell, working with Thomas Frank, he's working with Thomas. He's very good. He's a lot of energy, brings good vibes in the dressing room, on and off the pitch. So I'm happy to work with him. So again, that will be quite interesting to see how that sort of goes ahead. There was the other one I wanted to say. Where was it? Wissa. There was obviously talks about Spurs being interested in Wissa, set to an improved £30 million bid. So there was a lot of conversations taking place saying that they was going to demand 40 to 50 million, and it looks like Newcastle potentially maybe upping the bid to 30. So it might be a case of getting closer to that £40 million mark, which is, what would you say to that? If Spurs brought in a Wissa at 40 million, we're probably relying on Richie going out the door then, aren't we? Like, that would be a case of, if you've got Richie, Solanke, you could say Tell would play up there. Wissa in at 40 million. I can't see it. I just can't see it with Spurs doing that. I absolutely cannot see that happening. But would you take that? Would you actually take that? As in Wissa, 40 million? But hey, sometimes you just got to pay it. As I said, Premier League, he'd definitely score goals. Frank knows him. He'll know exactly how to play him. He'll know exactly what system to put him in. So big up, Archer. How are we doing, sir? Thanks for joining this evening. As I said, just a casual little chat about all things Spurs. When are we going to sign players? When are we actually going to sign players? And so, as I said at the start, another person joining in. Big L Tell. How are we doing? How are we doing? Even though you've been kicked out of bed, mate. I'm going away for a few days. Well, I'm not going to be streaming for a few days, so thought I'll just come on and just have a little chat just about all things Spurs. Having a little look, as I said at the start of the video, guys, like, I just want to have a little look and see what other teams have been doing in the league, because it definitely feels like all we really do, we just kind of go to, oh, we've had a terrible window because Liverpool have signed this and Arsenal have signed their striker and whatever. But actually, how many other teams in the leagues are making these sorts of signings and are doing as good as we think they're doing? So I thought we'll have a little review, and we'll kind of like gauge of whether we think that this is impressive windows. So Arsenal have obviously got Zubamendi, Gyökeres, Madueke, Mosquera, and Norgard in. Obviously, Kepa's a backup keeper, but for me, they've got Zubamendi's obviously replacing. We know he's replacing Gyökeres is the striker that they've been missing. So they've obviously got no excuses in terms of who they've lost. Not much. So Villa. So Villa's the area that we want to obviously be getting to. We want to be targeting a Villa level, don't we? So, oh yeah, sorry, we didn't really get grade that. Zubamendi and Gyökeres. Does Madueke start for them? Does Madueke start for Arsenal? I've seen a couple of Arsenal fans in a few different chats, and they seem to think that it maybe Martinelli still starts. But so they've improved their 11 with 2 players, which you could argue we have, but they was on a much better level anyway, wasn't they? Pains to say it, but obviously we have to be realistic here. So they've made 2. Let's say two players who will improve their 11, and they've spent 130 million to do that. Visa based on one good season we brought that on before, and it's not gone well. Yeah, I agree, but that is the problem is that with the Frank situation, Frank will know whether or not that's a player that can step up to the level that he would need. So I completely agree with you, but you would be buying it on a recommendation from Frank, wouldn't you? Like, Frank would obviously commit to that deal, and that would be the person that you would speak to most about that deal. Because if he said nah, then you'd be like, yeah, well, that's not the guy you want to bring in, because if his former manager's saying no, then obviously he's not quite up to it. So, but again, you're right in terms of you have to gauge whether that's an outlay you want to put in that's going to benefit you enough for long enough. For me, that's a 9 or 10 hour window for Woolley. I don't think it's that high. And the only reason why I would say that is that I think Gyökeres will score goals, but is that enough for them? They moaned about whether Martinelli was good enough, and then they brought in a Madueke to play what could be in that position. But is that improving them enough? And then I see a lot of Arsenal fans are moaning about Odegaard as well, saying whether he's good enough consistently over a full season, so that they need to bring in something like that. I think Zubimendi is a top player. Gyökeres is going to score goals that they needed, but I still feel like they need to do a bit better. As I said, moving on to July. What's happening, mate? How are we doing? Levy's going to do what he does: create transfer links, fail to sign, act like he did the final day signing. Well, although I completely see where you're coming from, you are being slightly cynical. But I'm going to guess that you've been a Spurs fan for longer than a couple of seasons, so you know how it works by now. We all know how it works by now. They see Rook signs, fails in, dips out of form. Yeah, this is the problem. Listen, I know he scored goals everywhere. No doubt he will score goals, but there's levels, so he needs to obviously step up a little bit. As I said, let's look at Villa. So Villa are a level that we want to be getting to. Obviously, they've brought in Busan, who a lot of people think is going to be very good for them. I think he's a great option. However, I think that if you offered this window to Villa at the start, I think they'd be pretty annoyed about it, because what you've also got to consider from last year, it will be here, is Asensio, Disasi, Rashford have all left. They was obviously all with them on loan, and they've all now left. So all they've done essentially is bring in Gusan to improve that. And I'd say that they're probably not worse off, but they certainly haven't improved off last year. So then who have they lost? Yeah, they haven't lost anyone. I think that's the key for a lot of fans. A lot of clubs is actually not losing. And talking of losing, this Bournemouth. So Bournemouth have lost Huyson, Kirkes, Jaden Anthony's gone as well. The others are probably not that. Max Aaron's played quite a bit. Obviously, Keppel was their first choice goalkeeper. So, and obviously Zabani's not been included here neither. So you've essentially lost your goalkeeper. I don't think you played every game, but right back, left back, centre back, and you're a centre back. So far, they've brought in the goalkeeper from Chelsea. They've brought in the left back, but again, they're closing in on a deal as well for a centre back, I think, if it hasn't been announced yet. But they're far worse off. Obviously, Brentford have lost Flecken, Norgard, and Mbeumo. We're obviously having discussions with Wissa, so they're obviously they've lost a few people. Kyoto was actually already there anyway. Keller is a good signing for them. Jordan Henderson's coming in for them as well, and Malambo is a decent player as well, to be fair. So again, we're not saying how many of these players have actually come in. Like, for instance, Bournemouth players are coming in and starting, but they're starting because other players have left, not necessarily because they're improving their team, if you know what I mean. Big up, mate. Big up, Lou. Main difference to the others is Spurs can and should go bigger in the transfer window, and they don't, and it won't. It's frustrating as always. No, 100%. I completely agree. And this is something that I keep saying, is that fans are often comparing to what other clubs are doing. And it's like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. But the facts is that we need to catch these teams. We need to be better than these teams. So let's say you're rating teams, they're doing 6 out of 10 and we're doing 6 out of 10. It's like, but we was already behind them. So unless we're doing 7s, 8s and 9s, then we're not catching these teams. And that's what I wanted to kind of run through, because I'm not going to pretend that I've seen every single transfer, and there'll probably be a few where I'll be like, oh, I didn't even realise they'd signed him. But yeah, obviously Brentford have then obviously lost their coach. I think that's a big part that Spurs fans forget as well. not only losing Frank, but losing a lot of their backroom staff, it's going to quite negatively impact Brentford. I think it's also going to obviously positively impact Spurs. We would hope, but let's see. Brighton, the club that just seem to just keep doing the same thing over and over again. As a fly, just scared the life out of me. Centre forward looks very, very good. The Greek centre forward looks superb. I am not going to try and pronounce his name because that will just be butchered. So we're not going to do that. But how much have they spent? They spent 80 million. But oh yes, sold João Pedro. Now he would have been superb signing for Spurs. The versatility of him, obviously the way that he started as well for Chelsea has been superb. Esteban, they had to get rid of him 17 million. Do you remember at one stage he was like starting left back for them? Football Manager legend, this guy. Barco, absolute, what a hero he was on Football Manager, and he's just fallen off of a cliff. I'm not taking into account Goosen being an absolute gun. No, I'm not taking it into consideration. I certainly am. But what I'm saying is that is he going to start in front? Let's say, for instance, Watkins stays. What happens there? Like that's the point I'm making, is that some of these players have been brought in, but they're going to be a good option, whereas they're not improving the 11. What Spurs fans keep saying is that we need to improve the 11. We need to improve the 11. We need to improve the 11. Now, obviously, their squad's going to get better, but is he an upgrade on Watkins? Is Watkins and him going to play? It'd be interesting to know. And obviously, you've also then got to factor in is the Premier League. Is he gonna hit the ground running, etc. That's there you go. Big up. That's the question. Is he going to play with him? Big up, by the way. Appreciate that. I don't even know what we're looking at likes wise. What are we looking at likes wise? Let's have a look. How many likes have we got? We've got 25 likes. I'm happy with that. This is just a late night casual little chat. How many people we've got? We've got 30 people in there. Come on, then. The 5 of you that haven't liked, come on, make sure you like it. Big up. What's happening, mate? Thanks for coming in. Luke, have you discussed the comments from Frank and Johan? They're quite telling. We haven't discussed them. I did see them, but I just wanted to make sure that they were actually true, because they're not the sort of comments I would want someone to be making. We will get them up in a minute. Once we've had a look through this, we will definitely have a look. Very, very strange, mate. Very, very strange. Many people, many years, 30 plus, good as a decent signer, but don't. We're not even going to mention him. Where is this fly coming from? Yeah, we're not going to mention that name anymore. I literally had live stream after live stream with him in their thumbnail every single time, and then the deal went sour. Yeah, Bournemouth and Brighton barely ever transfer budget between them. Yeah, so what have they? So in terms of, let's have a look quickly. So Bournemouth have sold 90. So they're 40. They're 40 in plus, and so are Brighton. So they've got a few million to spend. I actually said that there's going to be a lot more money spent this year than in most windows. I've been saying it for ages. Wolves was a prime example. Obviously, where Wolves finished last year, they've got Aït-Nouri, and then they've also got Cunha. So all of a sudden, they've got £100 million spent. Wolves have £100 million. Obviously, it might not all be reinvested, whatever, but they've got £100 million to spend. Burnley, they've made some very good signings. I think the Chelsea midfielder is going to be decent. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. Marcus Edwards deal has been made permanent. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on. Do you remember when he was wrapped up? We thought we had Messi. We thought we had the Messi in our youth system, didn't we? Cheers, Poch. Really, really appreciate that. They obviously lost their goalkeeper. Now this window, what are we thinking about this window? Whether they should be allowed to have this window is one question, right? That is one question. But for a window, what are we thinking about this? Chelsea's window: Pedro, Gittins, Hato, Delap, mate, Estavoy, mate. Watched him the other day for Chelsea. Literally within 5 minutes, the kind of play that he was doing with Cole Palmer, you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Obviously, Paz is coming in as well. What are they looking at? They've sold 200 million, guys. How do they get £30 million for Felix? It's nuts, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy how they've made that. They've only spent 50 million and they've brought in Pedro Gittins, Hato, Delap, Estavoyer, and then obviously a few of the others as well. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Tottenham made 600. Mate, we're brilliant at making it. We're brilliant at making it, but what do we do with it? Could play on a wing, I reckon. I think he's a long term for Watkins. Yeah, there's been a lot of conversations about Watkins in there. Been a lot of conversations. Is he going to start for Villa? Are they even going to sell him? There's been talks about. Obviously, I think the Arsenal deal will be squashed now. Gokares has come in, but Brentford losing loads. The centre fly to Spurs who get all the exclusive. That's what I mean. I can't concentrate. I think he's gone now. No, I think he's gone. Like, to be honest, I spent the whole moment, so I got a stage. I don't know if it was staged. I don't think Spurs would have staged it. But I don't. They obviously didn't have a backup. Jesus, otherwise we still won't be always replacing churn huge profits in the market. Yeah, I see some links today as well about Hwang going out as well. See it today. Mentioned it. I know obviously just won the cup. Nothing, absolutely nothing from them. Left back, backup left back, backup goalkeeper. Everyone kept saying it's key for them to just keep their players. It's like, that's not a transfer window. Transfer window is not just solely about keeping players. You need to, like, let's say Eze and Gray. You go and sign a decent player, they might start thinking, actually, we'll stick around a bit longer because these are. You can't just, we'll just hope to hold on to these players and that will improve us. That's not how it works. Big up, George. How are we doing, my friend? Smash them likes, as George says. Have you seen the Frank quotes? Right, guys. Let's get onto these Frank quotes because everybody keeps talking about it. Let's see. I didn't think these were true. I really, really didn't. But if everybody's talking about it, it must be true because these are not the sort of comments you want to be making. What is that? Let's see where we're going to get them from. Frank Lange out is trending. This is just absolutely perfect. I take it. Oh, I've pulled it off. There we go. So if anyone that hasn't seen this, I generally, there's been two people that have come in the chat now and mentioned this. I generally thought that someone had made this up because this just does not scream. I'll tell you what, sorry, this screams Spurs. Let me know what you think of this. Thomas Frank on Johan Lang, Tottenham and the summer window. Obviously, we are signing players here where the process in Brentford. Obviously, we are signing players here where the process is in Brentford. I'm not saying they were better. I think they're very good. Right? I think that Johan and his team is doing a top job. But this is a but. Just for them to understand what I'm looking for, so that needs to be aligned. At Brentford, it was aligned. I want that. Okay, fine. We look at it. Boom. And now I need to use more time with Johan and Rob and these guys, and then we make presentations. No. I need that instead. So all that is just extra hours every day. Oh my Lord. It's like nobody has a clue what's going on. It's like nobody has any understanding. I mean, no, I need that instead. That tells me they're sitting there having conversations about players. And Frank's like, no, these are not the players that I need. Like, you're bringing me players I don't want. It's seriously, this is the manager that's just walked through the door. Now, I don't know whether this is brilliance in terms, like, from him. Like, is it brilliant from him in terms of saying, like, we need to buck up our ideas? Or is it absolutely crazy that he's turned around and said this sort of stuff? Obviously, you have to find whether there's a full set of quotes that come out. Has he, for instance, said part of this, said something else, and then part of this again, and it's been brought into one quote? That will be interesting to see. But it does scream like that's just Very, very strange. Bournemouth don't have the money because of the stadium rebuild. The budget is probably around 50 million max. Yeah, Bournemouth have the smallest stadium, don't they? Their stadium is absolutely tiny. Is it not like 20 odd thousand or something crazy like that? I'm sure it is. The fly's back again. The fly's back again. Guys, where are we at? We need one more like for 30 likes. Come on. Come on, guys. We just need that one more like for 30. Chelsea minimizing football manager transfer funds is crazy. Mate, it's absolutely mad. Do you know what Chelsea are also going on to? They're adding a new manager. They go into the richest club and then they're just buying all the players that they don't want. That's what they're doing. They're going on and they're adding a new manager. They're going to, I don't know, Manchester City, and they're just buying all of the crap that they don't want. All the players they don't want to stay. They don't want they're in their first 11. They don't want them in their squad. Yeah, we'll buy them and we'll accept an extortionate offer, and then we'll just go and reinvest it elsewhere. It's absolutely nuts. As I say, whether you agree with the strategy is that's one thing, but oh, that's what I was looking at. I was looking at other teams, weren't we? Yeah, them Frank quotes are nuts. We'll get into that. João Gomez and Andre. Yeah, both of them I like both of them. I wouldn't sign both of them, but both of them I like. Good players. Their midfield be looking tasty. 100%. If you've got that Arias in front of Gomez and Andre as your midfield three, I'm liking that 100%. So Mr. Comment, no. It's Levy that has the problem for every director. Well, the rumours are with Eze is that A, Ange didn't want him, and B, Frank didn't want him. So again, a lot of it is we're guessing, but this is what we have to do. Seems like it could be taken out of context. 100%. Every single. Do you know what it is now with stuff like this? It doesn't even need to be taken out of context. It's like people will they'll cut half of a quote and then add it to another conversation that took place 10 minutes later and pretend it's one quote. So it's not even taken out of context. It's literally edited to make it sound like something completely different. Didn't Mitchell say that Levy destroyed his dream job? Yeah, but listen, there's always going to be like, and I hear this quite a lot in the Spurs fan base. And listen, I'm probably guilty of it myself. I know that I am. But Mitchell isn't going to come out and go, yeah, do you know what? I was poor when I was there. Or I had a great deal lined up for Grealish and I pulled out of it. Like, he's going to sit there and be like, it wasn't me, it was someone else. Do you know what I mean? So I get, I'm not sticking up for Levy here, but it is a case of everyone's in it for themselves. Mitchell's going to want another job elsewhere. Most people are not going to come in and be like, yeah, I messed up. It was my fault. I've done this, or I should have done that. Plans of the developer 20k expansion. Yeah, they need it. Especially in the whole FFP and everything else. You need to make sure that you're bringing in some money, and the stadium's a big part of that. Like he basically saying they are learning about each other one at the same time. It should have been done 6 weeks ago. Well, it should have been done longer than that. It should have been done longer than that, mate. Like, the facts is that we knew the league was gone. The league was out of the question. So it was always a question for the management of Tottenham, not the manager, but the management, the owners, the board, to be like, if he wins this trophy, are we going to keep him? And if he doesn't, then he's going to be sacked. And like, everybody knew that. So all the question they needed to ask was, are they going to keep him? That was the only question they needed to ask. So, and this is another reason that I keep saying, and listen, you don't just back every single manager just for the sake of it. But if you constantly keep changing managers, then this is the sort of stuff that happens. You start becoming behind on, because the way Ange plays and the way Frank plays is different. So this is why I kept saying right from the very start is that we need to identify a way of playing and then keep bringing players in that suit that way of playing instead of changing it every 5 minutes. It just doesn't make any sense. That money they made off Kirk choice and it's not going back into playing. So yeah. So it's tiny. It's an absolutely tiny stadium. They must have to reinvest some of it though, because otherwise they're going to massively struggle. They've not just lost like It's different if you lose like a striker or a right winger. Like they've lost their whole back line, so someone must be coming through the door. I think they're not spent. I'm pretty sure they've got a centre back that's lined up for like 40 million. Might be 40 million euros, but yeah, I mean the wage bill again. We shall see. Do you know what I mean? This is the problem. We just don't have any faith in what he does. That's the problem now. So if he goes and gets an Eze, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, hang on. Do you know what I mean? But just have no faith that he's going to do that. Everton, Shrewsbury Hall, Alcaraz, Barry's the one that they're relying on, and it because they lost Dominic Calvert-Lewin. What's the odds on us getting Dominic Calvert-Lewin? What is the odds of us getting Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Everyone's been joking about it, but that's a market value, 16 million euros. We should do it, shouldn't we? What a plan! Like, this is obviously, I'm not saying we should go and sign him, but I could see a Dominic Calvert-Lewin in a Frank setup, powerful in the air, on his day, could score goals. That goal he scored against us was another level, wasn't it? He turned into R9 for about 30 seconds. That was ridiculous. Fulham have done nothing. Leeds, surely they're going to come in. What Parker was moaning, wasn't he? So they've spent £85 million, and he's moaning about their transfer window. They're going to come in for Solomon, haven't they? They've got to come in for Solomon, 100%. I've got them favourites to go down with Burnley, Sunderland. We'll have a look in a minute. Sunderland have had a good window. It's just whether they can match up all of the players, like whether they can get them all playing in the same system. Like so many players, obviously Xhaka and all of that. Yes, we're at 31 likes. 31 likes, guys. Massive thank you. Just a chilled late night. Favourites to go down, really. Lord Rodney Trotter. This might be one of them hot takes, you know. Bournemouth, favourites to go down. I do think that it's massively underrated how many teams that are playing in Europe this year. There's so many of them playing in Europe and in England that they're not used to it. They're not used to this sort of thing. So they could definitely struggle 100%. I just can't see them being that bad that they go down. Personally. Now Liverpool's window, now that's Frimpong, Kirkes, Ekatike, Wirtz. That's goalkeepers coming as well, obviously. That is, they've lost Diaz and Nunez, Konsa, Kelleher. How they've managed to ship these out the door, by the way. It's ridiculous that Diaz has come into the conversation. I'm not bringing him into the conversation. I'm not bringing him into the conversation. I'm just saying that in his sort of playing style, I could see in that sort of setup. Like if he was at a Brentford, I could see him bringing in a Dominic Calvert-Lewin type. Imagine Dominic Calvert-Lewin in Spurs' medical team. That would be sensational. Absolutely sensational. Oh. Yeah, you fancy Bournemouth to be relegated. As I say, that might be one to watch out for. The OC is going to leave Andy Carroll. This one probably a bit harsh, but it's close. I mean, Andy Carroll played at Liverpool, my man. So maybe it's not even. Maybe you're being harsh on Andy Carroll. Yeah. And you know what? I feel like this is often forgot about in YouTube as well, right? There'll be like certain things that I'll be like, oh, I have a certain feeling towards a player, say. And then when there's debates, I'm not really that. I'm like, well, I can kind of give or take. I'm not that bothered, whatever. I'm not like 100% committed on every single one decision that I make or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, as you say with that, I'm not going to sit there in every single panel show and be like, oh, Bournemouth are going to get relegated. Bournemouth are going to get relegated. But you're like, oh, do you know what? I could see that happening. So yeah, I completely agree with you. There's been a few occasions where people have been like, oh, but like, how do you feel on this? And I'm like, oh, I don't really have that much of an opinion on it. I could see it happening. I could see it won't, maybe whatever. But it's almost like on YouTube, if you have an opinion on something, you've got to be all in. Like, you've got to be absolutely all in. City have had a superb window. They've had an absolute superb window. United, that front three, man. That's what Spurs should be doing. Newcastle have struggled. Newcastle have struggled in this window. If they lose Isak as well, Ramsdale and Elanga, is that enough? I'm not so sure to cover for an Isak move. Ndoye, he looked like he was gonna be a decent player. He's probably come in to replace Elanga, I guess. The two Botafogo signings, which they look a little bit strange. It is all a little bit strange. The Botafogo, he goes in there, he goes in there. So they've sold two and bought him, and all a little bit. Not so sure, guys. Not so sure about that. Here you go, Sunderland signing. Diarra looks good. Adingra, I think, would be very good at that sort of level of the Premier League. Lefay's obviously, that was all wrapped up from last year essentially. This kid, I'm not sure whether these two are going to be good enough next year, but I think like they could be one of them that move on, like they'll have a year in the Prem and then someone else will take them on, and they'll be decent. Xhaka is a top signing for them, 100%. They've got Chelsea's striker on loan as well. So what have they spent? They spent 100 million. Jesus, that's what I mean. There's so much money been spent, and if we come on to us, oh Lord. See, this is where numbers will get skied. Get like they're not accurate, are they? Like Takai is obviously minimal. The Vuskovic, all right, yes, like he's just come in, but actually that deal's been in the works since he was about 8. The Tell deal, the Danto deal, it's almost like how do you actually rate it? So they're saying that arrivals they think is way above what we've paid. Oh, it's because of all the loans. That's why. West Ham. So again, Tadebo's been made permanent. So they've signed essentially Wilson, Walker Peters, Hermanson, and Juff. I like Larson. I think Larson's a good player. I think he's a good player. I think he'll be good for Wolves. Arias as well. That was the left back that they signed. Yeah, as I said, they lost Cunha. Oh, Guedes went out as well. Let's go back to Tuna. Been doing well. It's a shame of Isaac wanting to leave. Yeah, it's one of them where it is and then it's not as well. Like because, like with all due respect, that's the level that we want to get to, isn't it? Like we want to get to that level. We want to get to where they're at now. Because I think it's fair to say that we're not there. So we need to get to their level. So if there any way that they can get affected, I'm up for it. But then at the same time, it's like what a lot of people are saying. If they can hold on to Isak, is it just a bit of a damage to the top 4 to just be like these guys now? They're keeping on to their players. They're keeping hold of them. You're not just going to come in and cherry pick. But then, as I say, I just want what's best for Spurs. And I think if they sold Isak, then I think that they're not going to bring in a player of Isak's quality. So therefore, they'll be weaker. Unless they spend ridiculously well, which is obviously a possibility. But I said this the other day, it's not realistic. We ain't going to get him. But Anthony Gordon in our team would be so good. Pedro Porro's balls over the top would be so good for a Anthony Gordon to be running onto. Paqueta isn't going down. Mate, let's move on to that. Let's move on to that here. Where are we? So we was discussing. We've got the Europa League coming. The Super Cup coming up. So in here, what do we think the team's going to be? We're obviously going to have Vicario, yeah, Porro. Who plays left back? Doggy's out, isn't he? So Spence plays left back. We'll go Van der Ven, Romero. Who's in your midfield? Who is your midfield? Hey, Luke, do you reckon we need a new 9? If so, who? Dominic Calvert-Lewin, not applicable, by the way. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin. No, I'm joking. It depends on what you're asking me in terms of, do we need a number 9 right now? I think it would be a nice to have. 100%, it would be a nice to have. I think the priority is these 2 positions. I think these 2 positions are absolute priorities for me. I would, if someone said you've got one position to improve and it was a number 9, a 10, or apparently a 6, then I would probably be looking at a 10 would be my priority at this moment in time. But, and I've always used this with Spurs. Most people are probably saying Spurs are a top 8 team right now. So is Solanke a top 8 striker? For me, that's probably the level that he's at. If you're going top 6, top 4, then no, a 9's needed. So I haven't really answered your question, but I don't think a 9 is needed right now as a priority, but it should definitely be one that we're looking at. Because let's be fair, most people think we need a 10. Most people think we need a left winger. Most people think we need a striker. Most people think we need a backup defence. I can't see us bringing in 4 more players. And actually, earlier on in the chat, I did ask how many players do we need, and everybody thinks 4. So I would imagine they're possibly the 4 we're talking about. But yeah, so yes, I think so no, I don't think it's a priority, but yes, I do think we need one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Number 10 and left wing, especially with Madison now out. Yeah, that's what I mean. And an Eze type kind of covers both of them, doesn't it? So let's go back to this team. So I have no doubt Kudus is in there, right? So who else are we playing? Bentancur starts. Bentancur must start, right? So this is really annoying. I can't have a 7 there. Let's get the 6 down here. So in the number 6, what do you think's happening? Are we going to get Palhinha in this number 6 role? Is he going to play? Because he looked obviously a bit rusty, didn't he? So if you're picking this team, would you pick Palhinha against PSG? I think he probably has to go in there, because just how good his defensive option is. Surely he goes in. Just took my banana chocolate chip walnut cake out of the oven. Oh man, that sounds decent. That sounds, yeah, subdued nose. That sounds good. Right, so we've got Palhinha in there. Right. So then we've got the 10, the 7, the striker. Palhinha goes in. Tasty more cake. What are we thinking? Richie? 10 has been Sarr, isn't it? And then who we go in left wing? Is it Odebear or Tell? Or Johnson? Johnson's been played there as well, hasn't it? So we've got Odebear, we've got Johnson, we've got Tell. And do you agree even Sarr plays there? I think Sarr probably goes. So Sarr goes in. Sarr's able to get about the pitch, isn't he? So I think Sarr will definitely start. It's just the left wing. Should we play his left? We play his left foot on the left and his right foot on the right. Big up, Ellie. How we doing? Queen Ellie, how's it going? Big up, Luke. Hopefully, Palhinha has been getting around speed as he was off the pace versus Bayern. Yeah, 100%. That's what he was just saying. He was definitely just saying that he looked a little bit rusty. I've even seen some people call that he shouldn't start, but against PSG, I think he's the best defensive midfielder that we've got. So if you don't start him, well, what's the point in getting him in if you're not starting him in them sorts of games? Can we play him through the middle as well? Oh, we're not going to mention what plays in the middle. I mean, it's Johnson Tell Oliver, isn't it? Let's face it, it has to be one of them. But any of them you pick. What was it? Johnson started last game, wasn't it? So let's just say Johnson goes in there. So Johnson goes in here, right? Oh man, that's it's weird because defensively you're kind of okay, aren't you? If you can't pick it, see, this is, I think it's slightly harsh, but they're all round about the same, aren't they? It's all much of a muchness, and I think that's the problem, is that there's no, like, on the right hand side you could go Kudus, bang, he's there, like, there's no doubt. Whereas everywhere else it's kind of like, oh, hang on, and that's our big problem. Even like Sar's been superb in pre-season, but with Sar it's kind of like, he's going to play there because he's played there all pre-season and he's done well. But actually, it should just be a case of he's playing there because he is the best player there. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we don't have that. When you look at it like that, just the attacking options is just so bad. Big up, Drula. How are we doing? Oh, we're edging closer to the morning. It is still evening time. JE, and he's in League One. It is like these are the three. Even if we went full strength, you'll have Solanke in here when you're obviously Kulu's potentially coming back. But if you change this up, if you had this as your team and then you brought in say an Eze, you brought in, there's so many different players that just improve us instantly, and it don't look like we're playing anyone. Yeah, Kudus. Yeah, should we change it? Kudus. You play everywhere. Play absolutely everywhere. We have no good options at these spots, and the thing is, like these, right? Like Johnson, not so much. Johnson, Tell, Oliver. I'm okay with them coming off the bench. Like they're decent options. They're not brilliant. They're decent options. You shouldn't have, like, but again, don't get me wrong, they shouldn't all be coming off the bench. But if one or two of them is in a squad, that's not the end of the world. But they should never be your starting. They should never be your starting ones. That's what's going on. Fab's just tweeted, has he? Open to club talks to sign from SAVINHO ongoing deal. Open to move if the clubs can agree a fee. Wow. Now that would be huge. That would be absolutely huge. This isn't like a fake account, is it? You don't want to know where you get the fake account. Oh, Moreto's done it first. Wow, I'll follow him. Here we go. Oh, we've not got the translate. Exclusive Tottenham is after SAVINHO. There are already negotiations underway between Tottenham and City. Wow. Now, what do we think of that? What do we think of that? That is huge. And for me, I don't know whether you agree, but for me, the biggest part of this is that part there. If he is open to the move, that is huge, absolutely huge. What a player that would be. That's a player that doesn't get. We just got, wait, hang on a minute. Wait, we was just doing this. Where was it? What? Wait, what do we do now? Because at the moment we've got Kudus playing there, and there. So where does SAVINHO play? Mate, that is huge. Imagine that goes through. Guys, big up to everyone that's coming in. Designated Hotspur, what's happening, brother? I hope you are well. Let's go. Is this the fight? Is this finally the bit of news? Is it just, did I just need to do a late night stream? Just talking through how poor we are, and then we get this. We ain't looking good for us. Game on Wednesday. We can try to predict it, but always so much for our season ahead. We are in check. So we're back in time. No, 100%. Big up Nia, 100,000,000%. But it's this is Spurs. We should be used to it. Wages fee. There's nothing mentioned, mate. Absolutely nothing. And this is why I'm saying this is absolutely key right now. If he is open to that move, that is absolutely key. And saying trying to because to play 10 for now, which is more game what video come tomorrow. This is what I was saying at the very start of the stream, guys, is that this can come out of the absolute blue. This is the way Langer works. People say works in silence. Some say works as asleep. But this is the key to him, is that deals just happen. The Kudus deal, bang, done. Morgan Gibbs White, 2 o'clock. They're interested. 8 p.m. Here we go, done. It doesn't hold as much weight, mate. It doesn't hold as much weight. But it holds a lot more weight than anyone else. I'm not making Daniel Jeweler about it. No. But I wasn't doubting you. I was wondering, because this was the one we originally pulled up. Where was it? This was the one we originally pulled up, and I was waiting to click on this and it'd be a fake account. The amount of times I've been done on Twitter now with these fake accounts, they're absolutely everywhere. Quality, 100%. He is open to joining. That is huge. As I said, this whole statement this whole tweet is brilliant. Yeah, that's great. But that part there is massive. That is huge. If he's open to joining, they're the sort of signings that you need to make 100%. Now, if you go through, if we get him over the line, you get Kudus and you get Palhinha. That's a window. That's a proper. Obviously, it's not. We still need more, but that's a proper window. That's what you need. I believe when he's holding up a shirt, Archer, 100%. The here we go is not even convincing me. The here we go does not even convince me anymore. Not after that. Not after what we've been through. The whole fan base is going to go absolutely crazy, isn't it? Sorry, what? Look, everyone's just going. Look, everyone's going absolutely mental. Our fan base. I love our fan base so much. Oh, look, invert the wing. Let's have a look at this in a sec. Drew, I have no doubts for you. Don't worry about that. I have absolutely no doubts. Finally, we have a concrete link. But Daniel, I said this at the very start of the stream. This is the whole point. Langer just does not work. This is exactly how he works, where you don't hear nothing and then bang. Like, it would surprise me because it's Spurs, but this is a deal that you can see, oh, hang on, it's not going to take that long to get done. Do you understand what I'm saying? We normally find out about these sorts of deals, like we're days behind sort of thing when this is announced. That's how I feel. Savinho plays mainly on the right. Yeah, there's been a lot of rumours about Kudus playing more central. But I think both good. I think you can play off the left. Savinho off the left. There you go. You agree with me? Open to joining this key, Gary. Is exactly what I just said. It is absolutely key, guys. The chat has just gone absolutely crazy. You love to see it. How are we getting this on a Sunday at 11:45? That's it. We bring weight, guys. See, we think we don't bring weight. We bring weight. I'm gonna do another stream next Sunday night. We're going to do a late night stream, a late night chat, and we're gonna get another bomber. Yeah, it is. Ryan, you're right. Big up, mate. Big up. You are right. You are right. Why would they want to get rid of him? But right now, I'll be completely honest. I don't care. Let's look at this. Let's dream, guys. Who's the striker? Who's the striker? Lord Rodney's coming in. The taxi through the middle. Would you play him up front? Does he go in there? This was the reason why I guess for City they want Cherky to go there. They seem to be developing Savinho on a long-term option. Yeah, do you know what? It could be like a buyback deal. You know, like we get a buyback deal. This would be team. Like let's do a bit of dreaming, guys. Like this is what I meant about. We literally said it earlier, guys, didn't we? We literally said it earlier that all we need is a little bit of good news, and Spurs fans will just go mad. We will go absolutely potty. Well, here it is. I'm not gonna put in his full name. I'm gonna leave it as Mick. But look at that. Does that not change? Let's Vicario's out of it. But does that not change? Not change the way you look at this team? He's only been there for one season. Surely won't be 3 years rather than SAVINHO. Yeah, probably both. Probably both. Him and Kudus on the wings, man. That's 100%. Yeah, mate, they've got a massive squad, haven't they? I've seen that there's just a beginning of Harvey Elliott and next. Don't know how true. Yeah, Harvey Elliott. I said this earlier. I would see. The thing is, James McAtee is obviously City as well. Now, because you've obviously got, you could have good relations with them. If we could bring McAtee in to play backup, mate, this all of a sudden you're like, what? Get him some Monday starting versus PSG. 100%. Like, if he's fit, he starts, doesn't he? Like, if we get him and he's fit, he starts. That is the bottom line of it. For Cam. So yeah, mate, 100%. Big up, guys. If you haven't already, smash the like button. Let's see where we're at now, because I'm sure, I am very, very sure you're happy with this news, because I certainly am. We've got 40 likes. Let's see if we can get 10 more. I'm being greedy. I am being greedy. I want 10 more likes. 10 more likes. If you're a fan of SAVINHO, then hit the like. And if you're not a fan of SAVINHO, then hit the like anyway. What are you doing? Worth remembering. Ben, don't try and dampen the mood. This is a positive. It's a positive stream, man. This is a positive stream. Do we get Here We Go tomorrow? Again, I'm going back to it. If it weren't Spurs, yes, I think it could. I think it's like that. I think this is the sort of way that it works, where, as I said, Morgan gives way within 6 hours. Here we go. From rumours to, this is it. Not sure if it's anything. You outdone Sean Butler. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. He won't be happy. There'll be a video of that. Don't worry about it. Said he prefers Ban as a left-sided player. Did he? Well, then, if that's the case, but see how we're now arguing. We're not arguing. We're having a discussion now about good players and where they're going to play, as opposed to who's going to play there. That's the difference. We're not sitting there going, well, if we got SAVINHO, if we get Kudus, we're not sitting there going, oh, well, who goes on the right or who goes on the left? We're going, we are having that conversation, but it's not about who, because we don't know who's good enough. We don't know whether they're all much of a muchness. We're going, right, just from a tactical point of view, do you want your left wing up left-footed, or like absolutely crazy? I was literally going to wrap up the stream. The stream was literally going to get wrapped up. I did have a look in the top left and think the numbers have just increased. More viewers have come in and a bit of a flood of them. Like, why is that? That is why. All I know is a window of Polina, Kudus and SAVINHO all of a sudden ain't looking so bad. Daniel, 100 million%. 100 million%. This is the problem that we have, is that we're so used to bad news. We are literally so used to bad news. Left wing like it is. Somehow I can see happening. What are we saying? 40 to 50 million. 50 million? everyone voted. Okay, I'm awake. Hey, come on. Not yet. Tomorrow, maybe. Yeah. But again, options. That exactly what we was just literally going through it. That is. So what are we saying here? Paqueta, 60, 70, 50. It's a bit, it's a bit further than we're gonna get at it. Let's be honest. Scott, they're having you on. Winner Tot is jumping the gun. He's absolutely jumping the gun. What SAVINHO, know we really do work in silence, and this is the problem. And I know it's not great, but I kept saying this. I've been saying this for weeks. Is that you can't judge the window in the first week. You can't judge it in the second week. You can only judge it at the end, because if you go and get, say we got, I'm not saying we're not going to get all of these. We're not going to get Paqueta, Eze, Savinho, but say we go and get Savinho and Eze, or Savinho and Paqueta, then all of the stuff that we've been saying, it's just like, but then we're so used to this not happening. That's the problem. All right, that's enough now. That's enough. Come on, we've done that too much. Is he good? What, Savinho? Savinho's top draw. Silence is golden. Yeah, they're working in silence, but let's see if it gets over the line. Until the transfer is done, simple, I know, until I see them in the shirt. Yeah, that's the problem, is that this could all fall through, because that current team Lucas up, I think it's 5th in the league and compared to the UCL. It's definitely up there. It is definitely up there. Obviously, it all depends on what other teams come in, what they start signing, etc. I think the top 4 are clear, but with that team, we're challenging for that 5th spot 100,000,000%, especially if Newcastle lose Isak, that sort of stuff. Could this happen very quickly? Exactly, Gary. Exactly, happen very quickly. Morgan Gibbs White happened very quickly. Even the Palinia stuff, the fans wanted it for weeks and weeks and weeks, but there was very little rumours until it happened. Love that. Where are we at? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the likes, guys. We need to keep pushing these likes up. Where are we at? 2 more. We have 2 more likes. Good at progressing the ball, but doesn't score much. Who's that? Is that Savinho you're talking about? Still young, a bit raw, better than you. Yes, but Scott, he's another level, isn't he? He's another level to them two, definitely. Oh look, Lord Borgnitra completely agrees with me. Love to see it. Daniel like it only yes, yes. I don't see Angus. Don't come in this chat. Angus, don't come in this chat just yet. We'll get him over. We'll get him over. We keep building and we'll get him over. What sort of thing we're looking at here? Yeah, that's the interesting point. It's got to be 50 to 60, isn't it? Oh, Alistair Gold, has he tweeted? That's not what we want to see. We want to see transfers, my guy. Come on. It's got to be the 40 to 50 million, isn't it? Yeah, everyone's recording it now. I think that's where we're looking at, 40 to 50, 100%. Yeah, 100. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you could move across, couldn't you? They could all move across. They're the sorts of players that, and that's well, it does in a way. It does in a way, because if the fee's too high, then it ain't gonna happen. Whether he wants to come or not, I love him. I've been watching him since he made his debut from him. Then player now has experience under a top manager. I said this earlier about the McAtee situation. If you're a player that's played under Pep Guardiola and he's had some sort of faith in you, I know he's selling him after a year, etc. But he's had the faith to buy him and use him. Then 100% that means quite a lot to me. 8th best in the league. He progressively carries and he's 21. And this is it. Again, another thing that we've been lacking. I can guarantee this is all coming from the moment most. Don't bring it. Listen, we're running with a positive stream here. No more of that. 5th for carries into the penalty box. Yeah. Listen, his stats are going to be slightly skewed because he's playing for Manchester City. So he's playing at a very high level. They're obviously dominating the ball and etc. But let's just keep with the positivity. That's all I'm going to say. Let's keep with the positivity. Do you know what? Let's have a little look. 1 second. Right. Let's have a little look. To be honest, I personally got Bob Gunners living in the shooting. Yeah, some of them are nice though. Some of them are nice. Do you know what I mean? It's good to interact. It's good to see different people's opinions. When you're at Spurs, you're all in an echo chamber. All you hear is Spurs. So sometimes it's nicer to be able to see other fans' opinions. Some City fans lose their shit over this. Yeah, of course they will. Yeah, of course they will. It's he's a good player. He's a good player. And the fact that he wants to come, that tells me that he said, like, I want to be playing every single week. There's a pair of genuine wings that can write songs about. 100%. We need some top songs. We need to have some top songs. Guys, after the good news, we've just literally hit, we've hit, what have we got? We've got over 50 likes. The channel's just hit over 1,250 subs. And we've also been granted YouTube partnership. So five gifted memberships in the chat for you guys. And obviously we've just got we're going to say near enough a here we go. That's what we're going to say. It's near enough a here we go, I think. Tottenham Rangers, SAVINHO's and Marquis signing 100%. Big up Lord Rodney Troyer, always in here and showing support. There's so many of you now that are just in here all of the time. Honestly, it means so much. From 4 months ago, we wasn't even a channel, and now we've got memberships, we've got all of that sort of stuff. Just a massive thank you to all of you. If we get this over the line, 100 million percent, that's big. That's very big if we can get that over the line. Incredibly high sin, in my opinion. I'm just wondering whether I think that's all we're going to see to that. I think that's all we're going to see tonight. But I think Drula's right. I think in the morning then there could end up being a real quick one where it happens really good. Why are we better? Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, but we're getting there. We're getting it. By signing players like Savinho, we're improving the level that we're at, and that's exactly what we need to do. I've just realised, why am I? So City have Foden, Churchy, Marmouche, and people are sleeping on Bob as well. By the way, people are sleeping on Bob. Bob is going to be a top player. Big up Ryan. Did you receive my thing? Is that what you're bigging up? Who was it? Right, Lord Rodney Trotter, Archer, Ghosted, Ryan, and Nita. Yeah. Big up, guys. As I said, massive support. I can't believe the numbers that we're hitting. Even now, we've got 66 people watching at 12 o'clock at night. It's absolutely ridiculous. I remember too well the Sour Palmer and how that went, mate. That's the thing. There's so many of them that Palmer he scared everyone. Savinho on the left, Kudus on the right, Kudu in the 10. And all left-footed. How weird is that? All left-footed. Top players though. Big up, Jeff. How are we doing? Sir? I hope you're excited about the news. Here we go until City say we want 60 million Levy faints. We've still got that 60 million is Morgan Gibbs White money. Morgan Gibbs White money, baby. Kulu's a month away from fitness. But Kulu's quite a big guy. Kulu's going to take a little while to kind of get into the flow of things. Ryan, big up, my friend. I really appreciate that. Who received Tottenham Ranger? Make sure you shout out Ryan if you haven't already. He's gifted you a membership. We've got 6 members already on the channel, guys. Love to see it. Ryan, appreciate you. Thank you very much. 1 goal, 10 assists, 29 games. He's only 21 years old. And as much as what I was saying about Man City's tactics as well, what we also need to remember is that this Man City squad, every single version of their play is to get Haaland goals. So when we're saying about Grealish not getting the GA, not getting goals, the whole thing is to get Haaland the goals. That's the reason he's in the team. All the other players are supposed to do the other parts. So I'm not concerned about that. I think that will come. Read something about it. City hates having a big squad. Yeah, he does. He's always said it. He's always said he hates having a big squad, and then a couple of injuries become a bit of a problem. Big up Ryan. 10 assists, yeah, 100%, 100 million %. Oscar Bob is decent. That injury stopped his. Yeah, Oscar Bob's going to be very good. Drew, we're all happy. Everybody's happy today. Big up Archer, mate. Big up. Guessing City would want around 60. Yeah, 50 to 60 seems to be the one. Savino or Eze. Let's have both. Why not? Let's just be a serious club for once and just big up Ghosted, mate. Big up. Just be a serious club for once. Just go out and get both of them. 60 million is what we had for Morgan Gibbs White, so we know that's there. 20 million's coming for Son. 15 million. I think it's 20 million, 15 million for Son. Then you need to put another 40, 50 million to go for Eze. And if you're getting Basuma out the door, we can make that work. We can make that work. If we're over Lesbian with Grealish on the line, I would take Grealish as a loan, 100,000,000%. I've been saying this for ages. If we're taking him on loan, £200 a week, not a massive buy or an obligation, 100%. I think we should be getting it done for 5 tops. Considering he was at their own half when goes this last time, wasn't bigger TSC. Yeah, but City, listen, as I said, City have got certain tactics and everything else. It's a little bit like, love listening on the telly, that's why I ain't chatting much very well. Mate, I used to watch it on the telly all the time, but then I don't get involved in the chat, and the chat's out on my phone and everything else. So, but yeah, mate, big up, Jeff. I've seen you in here a few times, mate. I really appreciate it. I'll be happy having SAVINHO, but I bet Caduceus as well as looking peak vehemently. And this is again what we were saying earlier. If we sign good forward players, good wingers, good cams, it's going to make Caduceus' impact even better. And he's going to have, because there's so many times he's picked up the ball and he's kind of, you can see he's looking for someone going like, well, come on, like, give me something here. And he hasn't had it. But if you get SAVINHO in and then you go and get someone else in, Teddy Klinsmann, look at that they wouldn't be too bad in today's team, would they? Are you okay? You look tired and strung out. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate the nice words. Really appreciate that. It's 12 o'clock at night. We was coming off stream. However, we're just having a little bit more of a chat about signing SAVINHO, because that seems to be what's happening right now, which is brilliant news. But I hope you're well, Teddy Klinsmann. I hope you're well, mate. If we get SAVINHO, how many after do you think we get? We literally said this at the very start. We was talking about it. It was like, how many do you think we need? And then how many do you think we'd get? And everybody seemed to think the same thing, which is that we needed 4, but we'd get 1. We would get 1. And obviously now it's looking like 1 might already be over the line. So if that's the case, if we've got Solanke here, obviously let's get Eze out of the window, because that's not a deal. And Paqueta, that's probably better than Core at the moment. But I think that's the position you go for. That's the position that you go for, Daniel. Don't you agree? If we go and get a 10, then this completely changes how this team looks. Loving your show. If we can get this over the line and sign a striker like Calamondo with McKinney, Elliott, Paz or 10 at 10, we're going in the right direction. Big up. Hot God 10. What a name. Absolutely love it, my friend. Yeah, if you can go and get a 10, with this, a good 10 as well. Like, as I say, if you put Eze in there, that's even behind Solanke. I think Solanke's a better striker than we see last year. I'm not saying he's not top level, but if you can go and get an Eze in there with that team, we've massively jumped the gun. If we wake up in the morning and this deal's off, it's going to be, it's not going to be good. Big up, Hot God. Appreciate you, mate. Thanks for coming in. Teddy and Klinsmann were bowing right. Oh, don't, Archer. Do not go there, my friend. Sorry, mate, that came across a bit rude. I'll repent myself. I don't like him. There we go, mate. I don't mind. People can come in here and be rude to me if they're something and like it. That's the main thing. But there's a lot of comments that I've put in when I know people, I'm chatting to them or whatever, and then I read the chat back and I'm like, I've got to delete that because that come across quite rude. So I understand what it feels like, mate. Yeah, definitely. 10 or striker for sure. Yeah, I suppose if you've got the 10 there and you're kind of waiting for Kulu to come in, if Kulu comes in and you go big on the 10, big on the striker, then yeah, ideally both, but at least one. And then Genoa, who actually have done a few bits this summer. Yeah, 100%. So if Udoggy's there, it means that Polinia, Kudus, SAVINHO, and then one more. That's 4 first 11 signings, which is good. Definitely a 10. Yeah, I think that's the problem, Daniel. I think that's the problem, mate. It does seem to be that. Oh, hang on a minute. Man City don't want SAVINHO to leave, but if a very big and high offer comes in, it could happen. I'll go in strong for the player. SAVINHO. Well, hang on. So another Romano tweet. Where have they got that? Savinho is Spurs' #1 transfer target. Concrete talks with all parties, and he's open to that move. I don't know where they've got that from, but it seems that City don't want Savinho to leave, guys. So we're sitting there saying, why would City want him to leave? And apparently they don't. These reports in City would want 70 million, but the deal could be done for 60, 65. Yeah, this is it. Right. So guys, I was watching Premier League years earlier, right? Spurs' strike force was Keane, Berbatov, Defoe. What was the other strike forces that had Arsenal? United had Tevez, Rooney. Who else was there? I can't remember. Oh, Ronaldo. I was like, strike forces don't have this anymore. We don't have these strike forces in the Premier League whatsoever anymore. But yeah, let's come back off of that. Let me just make sure that there's no other little bits and pieces. For sure, they work so well. Even Crouch and Van der Vaart. What a pairing that was, by the way. What a pairing that was. This still won't be easy. Few people are saying that they don't think that deal will be easy because City hate what Spurs done to them with Kane. But I don't think that makes a difference. Prime Premier League, yeah, that is vintage Prem. Vintage Prem. We need this Savinho deal. Badly. It lifted the fan base so much. Javier Hernandez, I always thought he was destined for Spurs at one stage. I literally thought that there's no way that he don't sign for Spurs. Right, let's do one last little check, guys. We're at 56 likes. 4 more likes. How many have we got some more subscribers today as well? Let's have a little tally up. We have got more subscribers. We definitely have. Right, let's have a look. Where are we at? So we have 1,271 subs. So there's 6 of you in here that have subbed today. So thank you very, very much. We are currently looking at 56 likes. So if there's anyone in here that hasn't already liked, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Guys, we're gonna crash out now. We are gonna send you over to Football Heritage TV. He's just gone live to talk all things Savinho. So please make sure in the chat you are saying Spotlight. Copy this. Spotlight on Spurs raid. Guys, massive thank you to everyone. We've got the first 6 members to the channel. Massive thank you to everyone. Got a City fan here, don't know what we're doing, mate. I will take it. Normally City for me know exactly what they're doing, but they don't seem to know. But big up to you for coming in. Make sure you put in the chat Spotlight on Spurs raid, guys. Over to Sava. Thank you very much once again, and hopefully I will see you. Massive, huge, big up for the live bomber. What a way to end the week, guys. Massive thank you. Hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Take care, and as always, come on, you